It's the 18th of January 2024. In a converted industrial building in Basel, a man in his 60s sits in a reclining chair. A glass of clear liquid rests on a small table beside him. He picks it up. This is how assisted dying became a regulated part of Swiss life. Switzerland has allowed assisted suicide since 1942. The law itself is short. Article 115 of the Penal Code criminalizes only one thing: helping someone die for selfish reasons. If the motive isn't selfish, the act is legal. Nothing in the law requires the person to be Swiss. Nothing requires them to be terminally ill. This is why people travel here, from Germany, from the UK, from Canada, from Australia. Switzerland is one of the only countries on Earth where a foreigner with no connection to the country can legally end their life with medical assistance. Three organizations handle most of these cases: Dignitas, Exit, and Pegasos. Dignitas alone has assisted more than 3,500 deaths since 1998. The process is more bureaucratic than most people expect. A person applies, they submit medical records. A doctor reviews the case and writes 2 prescriptions, sometimes weeks apart, to confirm the decision is consistent. The person must be mentally competent. They must understand what they're requesting, and critically, they must perform the final act themselves. A nurse can hand over the cup. The person has to lift it. That last detail matters. It's the line between assisted suicide and euthanasia. Euthanasia, where someone else administers the lethal dose, remains illegal in Switzerland. The distinction sounds small. Legally, it's everything. Inside these clinics, the rooms are deliberately plain: a bed or a recliner, a window, often with a view of mountains or trees. Staff describe the goal as calm, not clinical. Some clients bring music, some bring family, some come alone. The drug used is sodium pentobarbital, a barbiturate that induces deep sleep within minutes and stops breathing shortly after. It's the same compound used in some U.S. execution protocols, though here it's dissolved in water and self-administered by mouth or through a valve the person opens themselves. Switzerland records around 1,300 assisted deaths a year through these organizations. The number has been climbing for 2 decades. Roughly a quarter of clients at Dignitas are foreign nationals. Most cite terminal cancer, ALS, or multiple sclerosis. But not all. Some applicants cite chronic pain. A small number cite psychiatric conditions. This is where the system gets uncomfortable, even for Switzerland. In 2022, a Dutch woman in her 20s traveled to Basel citing depression and autism. Her case made international headlines. Critics asked whether a country was exporting a service its neighbors had decided was too dangerous to offer. Supporters argued the alternative, people in unbearable suffering with no legal options at home, was worse. Other countries have watched closely. Belgium and the Netherlands allow euthanasia under strict conditions, but only for residents. Canada expanded its own assisted dying law in 2021 and is now debating whether to include people whose only condition is mental illness, a debate Switzerland effectively settled decades ago by simply not drawing that line in the first place. The Swiss government has occasionally tried to tighten things. In 2011, voters in the canton of Zurich were asked whether to ban so-called suicide tourism entirely. They rejected the proposal by more than 75%. The clinics stayed open. The flights kept arriving. There's a quieter side to this industry too. Pegasos, founded in 1919, markets itself as more accessible than Dignitas, with fewer requirements and faster processing. Its founders describe a growing client base of people who are not dying, but who feel they've lived long enough. Switzerland calls this a private medical decision. Other countries don't have a word for it yet. Back in Basel, the man in the recliner sets down the empty glass. Within minutes, he's asleep. A few minutes after that, he's gone. The paperwork is filed. The body is released to a local funeral home, the same one used for hundreds of cases a year, in a city that has quietly become the world's last stop for people who couldn't find one anywhere else. What happens when every other country starts asking the same question Switzerland answered 80 years ago?